right now. Your life is not your own. A single ping on your phone ruins your morning. An offhand comment by a stranger ruins your evening. And a bad situation keeps you awake till 3 in the morning. You think you are free. But here is the brutal psychological truth you have been avoiding. Think about how easy it is for someone to ruin your entire day. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and your heart rate spikes. Your face gets hot. You grip the steering wheel until your knuckles turn white. Someone leaves a rude comment on your post, or gives you a cold look at work, and for the next 6 hours, your mind is trapped in a loop, replaying the scenario, constructing clever arguments you should have said back. You are walking around with a giant red button on your chest, and you let the entire world press it whenever they want. Your boss, your ex, your toxic relative, random strangers on the internet. They pull your emotional strings, and you dance like a trained puppet. You react to the weather. You react to the news. You react to every minor inconvenience, every insult, every delay, and every shift in another person's mood. And because you react to everything, you control absolutely nothing. You are emotionally broke. You spend your psychological energy on things that don't deserve a single second of your focus. And then you wonder why you feel exhausted, burnt out, and weak at the end of every week. Now, imagine a different kind of human being. Imagine walking into a room where someone tries to insult you, mock you, or push your buttons, and you look at them with completely dead, calm eyes. No anger, no raised voice, no fast breathing, no desperate need to defend your honor. Imagine facing a sudden crisis, a financial loss, a breakup, a betrayal, and instead of panicking or breaking down into tears, your mind drops into a state of deep, cold, absolute stillness. You observe the chaos around you, but none of it penetrates your skin. In behavioral psychology and ancient philosophy, this is not called being cold or heartless. This is called the art of non-reaction, and nobody understood this psychological weapon better than the ancient Stoic master, Epictetus. Epictetus was not born in a palace. He was born a slave. He lived under a cruel master who beat him and permanently broke his leg. He knew what real oppression, pain, and physical helplessness felt like. Yet, despite his broken body and heavy chains, he discovered a secret that made him more powerful than the Roman emperors who ruled the world. He realized that while people could chain his body, lock him in a dark room, or break his limbs, nobody could force his mind to react without his permission. He famously wrote in his handbook, the Enchiridion, "Remember that it is not he who reviles you or strikes you who insults you, but your opinion that these things are insulting." When someone provokes you, be certain that it is your own opinion that has provoked you. If you want to stop being a slave to external triggers, if you want to build an internal shield so strong that nothing on this earth can break your composure, you must master the 8 shields of non-reaction. In this 4-part series, we are going to dismantle the emotional reflexes that keep you weak and rebuild your mind into an unshakable citadel. Take a deep breath. Clear your mind of all background noise, and let us step into the quiet power of stillness. Let us start with the single biggest reason you are losing your mind every single day. You are trying to control things that were never meant to be in your hands. But what if I told you that 90% of the anxiety suffocating your chest right now is built on a complete illusion? Look at where your energy goes from the moment you wake up. You worry about whether someone likes you. You worry about whether the economy will crash. You worry about what your boss thinks of your work, whether your partner will stay, or why traffic is moving so slow. Do you notice the pattern here? Every single one of those things shares a terrifying reality. You do not own them. You can do your best at work, but you cannot force your boss to praise you. You can love someone with your whole heart, but you cannot force them to be loyal. You can drive safely, but you cannot control the driver in front of you. Yet, you spend your life screaming at the sky, getting angry, stressed, and heartbroken when things outside your power don't behave the way you want them to. You are trying to hold water in a net, and you get angry when your hands end up dry. Epictetus split the entire universe into two clear, brutal categories. Category 1. Things up to us. Your thoughts, your intentions, your desires, and your own actions. Category 2. Things not up to us. Other people's opinions, outcomes, the past, the future, and external events. He taught his students that suffering comes from a very simple mistake, treating Category 2 like Category 1. When you react to an outcome you couldn't control, you are acting like a child throwing a tantrum at the rain. Epictetus stated it with absolute clarity. Some things are in our control and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and, in one word, whatever are not our own actions. The wise man seeks nothing beyond his own domain. To train your mind to react to nothing, you must install an instant psychological filter the moment a situation threatens to spike your stress. Ask yourself one cold question. Is this specific thing inside my direct control or outside it? If it is outside your direct control, look at it with absolute neutrality and say, this has nothing to do with me. Drop the weight. Stop trying to micromanage the universe. Focus entirely on the small kingdom inside your own mind. Shield 2. The death of the instant reaction. Ask yourself this dangerous question. Why do you always say the exact wrong thing when you are angry? Why do you send that desperate text, hit send on that angry message, or explode at someone you love, only to regret it 3 minutes later? The reason is simple, and it is ruining your authority. Between the moment something happens to you and the moment you react, there is a tiny microscopic gap. For 99% of people, that gap is completely dead. The trigger happens, and the reaction explodes instantly. Someone insults you, you snap back. Someone disrespects you, you get defensive. Bad news arrives, you panic. You operate on pure, primitive reflex. You are like a dog that barks the second a doorbell rings. You have zero space between the stimulus and your response. And because you have no space, you have no freedom. When you react instantly, your primitive brain takes the wheel. Your intelligence shuts down, your pride takes over, and you end up giving the other person complete power over your state of mind. They drop a bait, and you bite it every single time. To build an unshakable mind, you must learn to kill the instant reaction. You must insert a forced, deliberate 3-second rule into that gapus. When someone tries to provoke you, insult you, or deliver bad news, do not speak. Do not change your facial expression. Do not move your body. Count to 3 in complete stillness. 1, 2, 3. In those 3 seconds, your logical brain wakes up. The emotional floodwaters recede. You realize that you don't have to take the bait. You don't have to match their chaotic energy. Epictetus taught his students how to master this gap with surgical precision. Remember that it is not enough to be hit or abused to be harmed. You must also believe that you are being harmed. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. Do not let the impulse carry you away. Gain time and delay. The next time someone tries to push your buttons, pause. Look at them in dead silence. Let the 3 seconds pass. Watch how uncomfortable they become when their insult hits a wall of cold, quiet stillness. Shield 3. Mastering the eyes of stone here is a strange truth about human pain years. Nothing in this world is naturally good or naturally bad until your mind decides to label it. Pay extreme attention right now, because if you understand this next concept, you will never feel like a victim ever again. Imagine walking down the street, and a dog barks loudly at you from behind a fence. Do you get offended? Do you stand there for 2 hours arguing with the dog, asking why it disrespected you, or trying to convince it that you are a good person? Of course not. You smile, keep walking, and forget about it in 5 seconds. Why? Because you know it's just a dog doing what dogs do. You don't attach an emotional story or a personal insult to its behavior. Now, why don't you do the exact same thing when a human being acts foolishly, rudely, or dishonestly toward you? When a rude person snaps at you, when an arrogant person flexes, or when a disloyal person betrays you, why are you surprised? Toxic people do toxic things just like a dog barks or water is wet. Your pain doesn't come from their action. Your pain comes from your unrealistic expectation that they should have acted differently. You are placing a dramatic, emotional label on top of a neutral event. You say, "This is horrible. How could they do this to me? My life is ruined." To master non-reaction, you must practice neutral observation, seeing events with eyes of stone. Strip away your emotional adjectives. See the raw physical event without adding a story to it. Not, "They betrayed me and ruined my day," just, "They chose to act dishonestly." That reveals their character, not mine. Not, "I failed and everything is over." Just, "This plan didn't work. I need to adjust my strategy." Epictetus summarized this mental shield in one legendary line: "What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about the things." When we are hindered, or disturbed, or grieved, let us never attribute it to others, but to ourselves, that is, to our own judgments. Remove the emotional label, and the pain vanishes. See reality clearly, without judgment, and remain completely untouched. Here is a quiet addiction that is draining your authority every single day. Why do you feel the burning, desperate need to explain yourself to people who have already decided to misunderstand you? Pay extreme attention right now, because this one habit is keeping you weak. Look at how you react when someone spreads a rumor about you, misinterprets your words, or questions your intentions. Your face gets warm. Your chest tightens. You immediately jump into action. You write long paragraphs. You make phone calls. You waste hours of your limited life force trying to prove that you were right, that your motives were clean, or that their opinion of you is wrong. Why? Because you are addicted to the need to be understood. You are handing the keys to your self-worth to people who don't even have their own lives sorted out. You are letting insecure, jealous, or biased minds act as the judge and jury of your character. Here is a cold, dark truth about human nature. People who want to misunderstand you will never be convinced by your explanations. They aren't looking for the truth. They are looking for entertainment, drama, or a reason to justify their own resentment toward you. When you fight back, when you argue, when you get defensive, you give them exactly what they want. You feed their drama with your precious energy. The ultimate flex of a sovereign mind is absolute, unbothered indifference. When someone speaks ill of you, or spreads a false narrative about your life, let them. Do not correct them. Do not defend your name. Do not explain your choices. Let them hold their false opinion. Your character is built by your daily actions, not by the narrative living inside someone else's head. Epictetus gave his students a brilliant, witty response to use when learning about public criticism. If you hear that someone has spoken ill of you, do not make excuses about what was said, but answer, "He surely does not know my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone." Kill the trap of self-defense. Let weak minds talk. Let the ignorant misinterpret you. Save your breath, stay silent, and let your work build an undeniable reality that destroys their lies without you saying a single word. Shield 5. The transmutation of pain. What do you do when life doesn't just annoy you, but completely slams a wall into your face? A sudden financial failure, a painful breakup, or a health scare. Most people break down and ask, "Why me?" But what if I showed you how the world's most dangerous minds turn pure agony into fuel? When adversity strikes, average people treat it like an enemy that came to ruin their lives. They sit in the dark, feeling sorry for themselves. They complain to anyone who will listen, becoming bitter, hopeless, and paralyzed by grief or anger. They look at the obstacle as a red light that stopped their journey. An unshakable mind uses a completely different psychological framework, amor fati, the love of fate. You do not just endure the hard times, you actively embrace them as necessary fuel for your evolution. Think of your mind like a burning fire. When a small fire encounters a bucket of water, it gets put out. But when a massive, roaring furnace encounters water, trash, or heavy wood, it consumes it all, uses it as fuel, and burns 10 times brighter because of it. Betrayal teaches you boundary control. Failure teaches you strategic discipline. Loss teaches you internal sovereignty. Nothing bad has happened to you. Life has simply handed you raw, unrefined energy to forge a stronger version of your soul. Epictetus reminded his students that challenges are not punishments, but wrestling matches arranged by the universe to test your resolve. It is difficulties that show what men are. Consequently, when a difficulty befalls you, remember that God, like a trainer of wrestlers, has matched you with a rough young man. Why? So that you may become an Olympic conqueror. Stop asking life to be easy. Stop wishing for smooth waters. When the storm hits, look directly into the gale and say, "Good. This is my training ground." Transmute the pain into power and remain completely unshakable. Shield 6. The art of solitary composure. Look closely at how you act when you are completely alone. Do you panic when your phone dies? Do you feel an uncomfortable itch when there is no music, no screen, and no voice in the room? If you cannot sit in a quiet room for 30 minutes without losing your composure, you are completely at the mercy of the world. Why is non-reaction so hard for the modern human being? Because your internal world is a chaotic, noisy mess. You have accumulated years of unexamined fears, ignored anxieties, suppressed guilt, and unresolved doubts. Because you refuse to face them in silence, you carry that internal noise into every interaction you have with the outside world. You are like a glass filled to the absolute brim with dirty water. The moment someone gives you a tiny bump, the water spills over immediately in the form of anger, panic, or defense. To react to nothing on the outside, you must master solitary composure on the inside. You must build what the Stoics called the Inner Citadel. This is a private sanctuary inside your own mind, where no external event, no public noise, and no insult can ever enter. You build it by spending regular time in absolute solitude, facing your dark thoughts, organizing your standards, and getting comfortable sitting in silence. When your internal world is organized, calm, and grounded, the outside world loses its power to disrupt you. Epictetus challenged every individual seeking true mastery with this simple truth: you can be invincible if you enter into no contest where it is not in your power to conquer. Practice composure in your own private room, and no storm outside will ever carry you away. Empty your glass. Clean out your internal house. Spend time in quiet reflection until your default state becomes absolute, unbothered peace. When your foundation is solid rock, the waves of the world will break against you without causing a single crack. Now, we reach the most misunderstood secret of all. The difference between a cold heart that hides from the world and a sovereign mind that loves deeply without breaking. Pay extreme attention to this shield, because if you skip Shield 7, you become bitter and isolated. But if you master it, you become emotionally untouchable. Look at how most people attach themselves to the things they love. They grip their money, their status, their relationships, and their possessions so tightly that their hands bleed. They build their entire identity on external foundations. They say, if I lose this person, if this business fails, if this title is taken from me, my life is over. And because they live in constant fear of losing what they hold, they live in a state of permanent low-grade panic. They become clingy, possessive, jealous, and weak. The slightest sign of distance or threat sends them into an emotional tailspin. That is not love. That is emotional slavery. The ancient Stoics practiced a powerful mental discipline called the final decoupling. It means enjoying every single gift life gives you: people, success, comfort, health with open, generous hands, but never letting your soul fuse with them so deeply that their loss destroys you. You must hold everything in this life like a borrowed gift. Enjoy the presence of your loved ones today, but remember that neither they nor you own tomorrow. Enjoy your financial success today, but know that fortunes can vanish in a breath. Enjoy your physical strength today, but accept that time weakens everybody. When you stop demanding that temporary things last forever, you stop panicking when they change. Epictetus explained this brutal, liberating truth with shocking clarity. In the case of everything that delights the mind or is useful, remember to tell yourself what kind of thing it is. If you love a ceramic cup, remind yourself, it is a ceramic cup that I love. Then, if it breaks, you will not be disturbed. When you kiss your child or your wife, say to yourself that it is a human being you are kissing. Then, if they die, you will not be broken. Do not shrink away from life. Love deeply. Work hard. Live fully. But keep your internal citadel completely decoupled from the outcome. Receive without arrogance. And let go without a struggle. Shield 8. Integrating the invisible force. How do you actually practice this when you step out of your door tomorrow morning? Philosophy without daily execution is just intellectual entertainment. Here is how you turn non-reaction into an automatic muscle memory reflex. You cannot wait for a massive crisis to test your mental strength. If you haven't trained your mind in small moments, you will fall apart when the large storm hits. You must practice daily mental conditioning. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you step into the world, take 60 seconds to perform a mental rehearsal of chaos. Tell yourself clearly, today I will meet rude people. I will meet ungrateful people. I will face delays, minor annoyances, and unexpected problems. They act this way because they cannot distinguish good from evil. But I have seen the nature of good, and I know that nothing external can harm my mind. When a minor inconvenience happens during your day, a cold coffee, a slow internet connection, an annoying email, do not ignore it. Treat it as a mini workout for your mind. Smile to yourself and say, "Thank you for this test. Here is my chance to practice non-reaction." Epictetus gave his disciples a daily blueprint for iron composure. Begin at once with the smallest things. Is a little oil spilled? Is a little wine stolen? Say to yourself, this is the price paid for peace of mind, this is the price for tranquility. Nothing comes without a cost. Pay the small price of mild inconveniences with a smile. Every time you refuse to react to a minor trigger, you build a brick in your internal citadel. Soon, your non-reaction becomes an invisible force field that nothing on earth can penetrate. The world is full of noisy, reactive, exhausted people running in circles. But you no longer have to run with them. Let us summarize the 8 shields of non-reaction from Epictetus. The distinction of control: focus only on what is yours. Release everything outside your domain. The 3-second rule: kill the instant reflex. Insert a deliberate delay before you respond. Mastering eyes of stone. Strip away emotional labels and observe reality with cold neutrality. Kill the need to be understood. Stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. The transmutation of pain. Use adversity as raw fuel for your personal evolution. Solitary composure. Clean your internal house so external chaos cannot trigger you. The final decoupling. Love deeply, but hold all external things with open, unattached hands. Daily mental conditioning. Practice non-reaction on small daily annoyances to prepare for life's big storms. You are no longer a puppet whose strings can be pulled by random strangers, bad news, or cheap insults. You do not need to fight every battle you are invited to. You do not need to attend every argument. You do not need to react to everything. Your silence is your boundary. Your stillness is your power. Your unshakable mind is your ultimate sovereignty. Step into the world tomorrow with quiet eyes, an unbothered heart, and a spirit of absolute calm. If you are committing to mastering your mind and reacting to nothing starting today, leave one single word in the comments below. Untouchable? Share this complete masterclass with someone who is draining their life force by fighting unnecessary battles in a noisy world. Walk calm, stand still, and remain untouchable.